Hey everybody, Janet Urban here, founder of Friends in Film. I help people get consistent work in the film industry in acting, directing, writing, producing, hair, makeup, sound, stunts, special effects makeup. So I've been in the business for 20 years and I actually do commercials. It took me a long time to get to this top level work where I make around $2,000 a day, and I don't have to work that many days to make a lot of money in the film industry. So the film industry is very high paying. So today we're going to talk about the Friends in Film way of making a career in acting. The goal is TV and film roles, and the traditional way is through auditioning, taking classes and auditioning. That's how you get yourself out there, because you got to audition for the role, obviously, right? So pretty much everybody starts out not having an agent, and they've got a survival job because they've got to make money, have a roof over their head, pay for their car, pay for acting classes, pay for headshots, pay for the reel, pay for the website, all this stuff. It's very expensive being an actor, as you know. So you start off without an agent and you go start getting some experience by going to auditions, which is good, right? Audition, audition, audition. And when you're starting off, most of the stuff that you have access to is going to be student films and web series. So those are freebie roles, but that's fine. You're building your experience and you're getting these roles, right? But you make no money, and most of your money's made in the survival job. Still okay. That's the way that it is when you start off, right? You got to get good, right? So then you do more and more auditions for student films and web series, which is the stuff you're finding in Actors Access and LA Casting. That's the stuff that you have access to, the stuff that is out there. Of course, the roles that you really want at this time and always are the TV and film roles, but those are in the breakdowns. Those you have to have an agent to get access to. And it makes sense, because how it works is that with all the professional stuff, the stuff that's paid, there's going to be producers and directors that are making a decision on who they want for the role. They hire casting directors to bring in all the people that have experience and meet the specs for that role. And then the agents will submit people based on the specs for that role. So they have to have a system in place, obviously, otherwise they would see thousands of people, they'd be wasting their time, and they'd be seeing people that were not qualified or didn't meet the specs for the role. There's a reason why this system is in place. And that's okay, you can learn how to play this game. But doing it through auditioning over time, through years of auditioning, you're going to see, and you probably already know, that this is very slow. And it's very low income as well, because you've got to have a survival job this whole time. Okay, so let's say that after you do this and you have all these freebie roles and you have all these auditions, now you're starting to get, a good amount of film work and experience, and you might have a reel. And then maybe you get a low budget indie film and you make maybe $300 a day. And this could be like a year, this could be 2 years, this could be 3 years. Like, you know how long it's taking you already. So you could gauge it sort of on that when you're doing it only through auditioning, right? So now you have an agent, and the agent is sending you to auditions that are in the breakdowns, which is good. It's the TV and the film roles, the stuff that you're really after, right? It could be co-star, it could be guest star stuff. It depends on what level, what tier of an agent that you have. When you're starting off, you're probably going to start off with a co-star agent who has relationships with co-star casting directors that are filling the roles for co-stars. So now the agent is sending you on auditions, which is great because it's the kind of TV and movie roles that you want. However, you're being sent on much less auditions because now you have to meet the specs for each role. So before, you could get it didn't really matter so much for the freebie roles. They were just happy to have somebody that could act. Now the amount of auditions is less because you have to actually meet all the requirements in order to be able to be submitted, which makes sense. They don't want to see people that don't meet those requirements. The producers and directors would go, well, what are you doing? Wasting our time? Are you crazy, right? And mostly the thing that is happening is that the agents won't submit you because if they have relationships with casting directors. And of course, the casting directors have relationships with the producers and the directors. So the agent doesn't want to look bad submitting people that don't meet all the requirements, and they're not going to do that. And of course, the casting director doesn't want to look bad by showing producers and directors people that are not, that don't meet the specs for the role. Make sense? Okay, so the point is you have less auditions because you have to meet all the specs for the roles, right? Okay, so you got audition, then you got maybe some time passes and you got a couple more auditions, then you got a couple more auditions, and this whole time you've got your survival job, because when you're doing these auditions, Of course, you're not getting paid for the auditions, just like up here, you're not getting paid for auditions. So you're basically spending a tremendous amount of time auditioning all the time that you don't get paid for. In fact, it costs you money because you've got to take off time from work, you've got to get parking, you've got to have gas, you've got to get your car, you've got to maybe buy stuff for the audition, you've got to keep your headshot perfect, you've got to keep your list of credits and your resume going, and you've got to also have good wardrobe. You might have to have facials, you need to do your hair, you know, all this stuff costs money. So this is why, and as you probably know, there's a lot of actors that don't have that much money because it is so expensive to pursue acting in this way, the traditional way. Now the real problem is that the typical booking ratio is 100 auditions to 3 paid roles. Once you get in the professional arena where you're SAG and now you've got an agent, what's typical is 100 auditions to book 3 roles. Now you already know this, you know what you got in for, you know this, but the reality of it, when you start living it, wow, that's something to consider. So this is about 35 auditions, which 100 auditions to get 3 roles. This is about 35 auditions, and then you should get a paid role. But then what's typical is 35 more auditions before that paid role. Okay, let's do that. So now we got 35 more auditions before we can get our next paid role. Yay, paid role though, that's good. If on every audition you have to meet the specs to get that audition, that means that how long did it take you to get 35 auditions to get that paid role? That could be a year, it could be 2 years, because remember, every single audition is crucial because you met the spec and you got there and then you did your thing and hopefully you got it or you didn't get it. But what's typical, as I mentioned, and you can look this up all over the internet, 35 auditions to get a paid role. So this could take a year, this could take 2 years. And during this time, of course, you don't make any money when you're auditioning. So you're making money doing your survival job. Okay, so then you get a paid role and then you've got 35 more auditions that you're going to before the next paid role. And then you got 35 more auditions to the next paid role. And this is not the way that it is only for beginners. This is the way that it is for professionals, professional actors, SAG professionals. So this is why, you guys, 75% of SAG actors, and the union tracks this, make less than $5,000 a year. Because when they audition their heart out and they finally get a role, it's either $1,000 or maybe it's a whole week of work, $2,500, or maybe it's $5,000. And so when you look at that over a year though, it adds up to maybe $20,000, $25,000, maybe if you're doing really well and you have like 100 professional credits to your name. So that's what you have to look forward to. If you have like all these credits, you've been in everything, and this is not, I'm not talking about starting actors, we're talking about actors that have been doing it for 10, 20 years. They're making that amount of money, unless they get famous. But the number of people that get famous in the film industry is minuscule. Still, you should go for it, and you can go for it. But the question is do you want to use auditioning as your way to get out there and go for the life that you want? Or do you want a more lucrative way and a much faster way and basically a shortcut? Okay, you ready to learn the shortcut? All right, let's get to that. So this is what it looks like as a professional actor. Day job and a lot of auditions that you don't get paid for, and some paid roles that you end up getting in there, which is great, and you're happy for those. But what is the one thing that's missing here in the day job and all the auditioning? What's the thing that's missing? The most important thing. It's the relationships. You've always heard that it's all about connections. You know this. So how do you make the relationships when you're doing all these auditions? How do you make the relationships when you're doing it the traditional way? Auditions, you can't make them. You don't make them at a film festival, really. The people are off talking to other people, other producers and directors that they get work from. You don't really get them at going to a workshop and listening to somebody speak. Even though you'd like to make a relationship that way, that's not the way that you make real relationships. The way you make real relationships, you guys, the fastest, the easiest way, the most natural way is working alongside professionals, working alongside people, working alongside your buyers. You know who your buyers are? Producers and directors. Those are your buyers. Casting directors get you in front of your buyers, but those are your buyers. So what if you could have relationships with thousands of buyers, and they know you and they love you, and they give you roles? What if that could happen? Because that's what happens. Once people know you and they become endeared to you, they give you roles. They want to see you succeed. Now, this doesn't happen every time, but it does happen. And, you know, if you think about it, they're just people just like you. And it's like nothing is more fun for them than to see you in the role. And they put people that are in crew all the time in front of the camera. And especially if they know you're an actor, then they're going to do it a lot because they're like, oh yeah, they know you're an actor, and they write something in and they're like, hey, would you like to do this? Get in hair, get in makeup, let's put you in this scene. And then you get in the scene, guess what? Then you get SAG. You get to get paid as a principal. You get to become SAG eligible. You may not want to join SAG yet, but you become SAG eligible. Now, if you're in another place like London or Sydney, you don't have SAG, but you still have an acting union. So it's all the same kind of stuff. You're at a different level where you're getting a speaking role, which is going to help you for all the other future speaking roles because guess what? Once you're getting paid as an actor, guess who's interested? Now the agents are interested. Now the agents can make money off of you. So the paid acting roles is only good stuff. That means SAG, that can mean residuals, and it means agents are interested. Also, you become on the radar for casting directors. You get on the radar for casting directors. And that's awesome too, because then you are opened up to even more roles. So you're still going to audition, you guys. Over here, when you work inside the industry, which we haven't talked too much about yet, but we will, you're still going to audition sometimes. You're not always going to be put in stuff. You're going to have to audition and get roles, go after roles. But sometimes you can have producers and directors that say, hey, would you like to audition for this? And you're like, oh yeah, I'd love to. And then you go in audition, you do your take on that role, and then you get the role or you don't get the role. But you know what? When you work inside the film industry, which is what we're talking about here, with the Friends in Film way, you're working inside the industry. That's how you get to work alongside producers and directors. You work inside the film industry doing paid jobs. And I'm going to tell you about these jobs in a second. But these jobs get you on film sets, and this becomes your new career. No more day job. Now, you're doing paid jobs inside the film industry where you're working alongside producers and directors, and you're making relationships, and you're making money at the same time that you're doing it. And your whole life becomes about being in the film industry, being a film professional. That's how you're spending your time. And the light bulbs are going off in your head all the time because now you're on set all the time, and you're getting exposed to opportunities and ideas and scripts and people that are creative that become your friends. And it's just like magic for your career. That's so much easier than doing a day job where you're outside the business, you have no creativity, and you're constantly having to go to auditions that you don't get paid for, and that it's difficult. You're rejected a lot. It's hard to maintain that great state. But over here, you're working, either in front of the camera or behind the camera. That's a good thing. And the money that you're making is probably 3 or 4 or 5 times more than what you could ever make with a day job that gives you flexibility to go to auditions. You're going to have jobs here, paid jobs here, that you're going to have to juggle to also go to auditions, because you're still going to probably be doing some student films and maybe some theater at the same time as you are working and getting paid to be there on the film set. That's okay. It's going to be a juggle. It's a much harder juggle now. That's an easier juggle. That's like a joyful juggle. Never thought about that, but that's like a joyful juggle because you're like, you got it going on. You feel good and you know so many people. Because how many professionals do you know over here? Really, like where you know them, where you like know their kids, you know where they're from, and they know where you're from, and they just know about you and they like you, and you talk about restaurants and music and vacations and Europe and stuff like that. That happens over here. Over here, there's just no time for that. There's no opportunity for that. Okay, so let's talk about these jobs that get you inside the film sets, working and making these relationships with your buyers, producers, and directors. This is you. This is what I call the tornado of film work. So your life is going to become, you're making your living on film shoots. So it can be like a 2-day shoot one week, a 3-day shoot the next week you're doing a 2-day shoot and then a 3-day shoot, and then maybe you work on the weekend and you do another 1-day shoot. So you're working all the time. Like every week, how you're making your money is on film sets. Now you're probably wondering, well, which jobs, what am I doing? What gets me there? You can certainly work in this tornado of film work doing background. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about doing any background. No background. Background is not the way into the film industry. People don't really get to know you. They have no time to talk to you. You're not considered one of us because really you're doing background. They want you to go there, do your acting in the background, and go back and sit in your chair and be available for when they need you again. So you know that that's not a way to create relationships, right? So the way that I'm talking about to create relationships is doing assistant jobs. And these assistant jobs get you working all around the people that you want to meet for your career, and thousands of them. So jobs like production assistant, office production assistant, or set production office assistant. If you're doing office, then you're working in the office doing pre-production and wrap. If you're working on set, then you're there on set helping out, and you're getting exposed and you're helping all of these different departments. Like as a set production assistant, you're exposed to all these departments and you're working with all these departments and you're assisting them, and they're glad to have your help because they need extra people, they need help. And it's just awesome because you're just like, you're there, you're hired to be there and help out, and you just learn everything. And you meet the producers and the directors and the casting directors, because if you're doing the office production assistant job, you might be there at the casting and you might be helping out with the casting, which would be so exciting as well. And the casting director sees you, you get a little relationship with them. And by the way, you're not meeting them as an actor, you're meeting them as part of production, which is awesome because they're like, oh yeah, they see you as, hey, you're part of production. You're over on that side where they make their money, right? They get paid by production. So you're over on that side, so that just elevates your status. Now, if they find out that you're also an actor, casting directors are like, wow, impressive. You're serious about your career. What casting directors say all the time is like, we need to see you a lot. We need to have you audition in front of us a lot so that we know that we can trust you when we can trust you on set, and that you're going to be able to follow direction and you're going to know how it goes on set. But when you're already on set and you know everybody, well, the trust is already there. And especially when the producer and the director may tell the casting director, hey, let's have her audition for this. She's one of us. In fact, I know an actor, his name is Matt, and I've worked with him for years, and he's on a TV show right now. But when he started out, he did exactly what I'm talking about. He worked as a production assistant, and he got to know producers and directors, and he would get put in the commercials, and he also was put in lots of auditions. And then while he would be auditioning, a little yellow Post-it note would come across to the casting director, hey, this is our pick. In her mind, she'd be like, wow, this person's already connected, and he's obviously good, because you have to be good as well. And she's just like, that's how he got going and got known by so many casting directors. He also got his agent this way, just by knowing people, because people refer you. They refer you to people that they know, and everybody knows each other. Like producers know agents, directors know, everybody knows each other. So the way to get into the business moving quickly is to get referred. And you've probably heard this. I'm sure you've heard this. Like it says all over the internet that if you want an agent, they're kind of waiting for you to get referred to them, because they're not out there looking and trying to find fresh faces like all of the scams will say. They know that when the time is right and the person is ready for getting paid acting work, they will appear. They'll start getting paid acting work, and then of course the agent's going to see them and go, yeah, okay, let's see if I could use somebody like you in my arsenal so I can start submitting you for roles. So they will have their people, but they'll be open to seeing if they can add you in their arsenal so that they can make money off of you. Of course, this is a business, you guys. So what you're doing here is you're learning how to play this game a much smarter way, so that you're making money in it and you're making relationships in it, and it's like your career. It's such a rich environment. So that's what you're creating here. So the assistant jobs, there's more than just set and production assistant, you guys. There's director's assistant, there's producer's assistant, there's casting director assistant, there's writer's assistant, there's even agent's assistant. And there's manager's assistant too. So all of these assistant jobs exist, and they pay money. They pay between $100 to $250 per day or more. And these jobs are all over. They are wherever they're filming, wherever there's film sets, which there is now. We're filming all over the world. We're filming all over the place, and there's a lot of work happening now. We've got feature films, we've got indie feature films, we've got music videos, we got commercials, we got news, we got Netflix, we got all the TV stuff, which is that's just massive numbers, TV. And then you've got reality, and then you've got soap operas, and you've got talk shows, and then you've got international news, and you've got entertainment news, shows like Entertainment Tonight. Yeah, the industry is huge, and there's a lot of money in it because wherever the eyeballs go, the American businesses and the worldwide businesses can now advertise to those people, and it's all where attention goes is where the money is, because everything is a business. So it's good to see, hey, this is what it is. This is why there's a lot of money in the entertainment industry. So the assistant jobs are your doorway to get on set and to get into this work tornado where you're making your living 100% in the film industry. And at the same time, you guys, the plan is to work on your own stuff. It can be theater, it can be plays, it can be some student films. And at the same time, you're getting auditions and you're getting roles from the professional film sets, and you're getting referred to agents, and you're getting in casting rooms, and you're like, it's like the real thing. It's like happening. So this is how you're spending the majority of your time, and then you're doing some of your stuff on the side. Because if you're an actor, you can't just say that you're an actor and then only work as a production assistant. You have to do the acting thing. You have to be in class. You have to do some auditions because you got to get good. You got to keep your acting chops up, and you know this. So you have to walk the walk. You can't just say, "Oh yeah, I'm an actor," and only expect people to hook you up. You got to, you got to walk the walk too, which is good. That's music to your ears, I'm sure. That's good because it's reality. Now here is something really exciting. The most exciting thing about this whole thing is that these assistant jobs can lead you straight into a niche job, which is really good money. At least $500 a day, up to $1,000 a day or more. When I'm working, I'm making between $2,000 and $3,000 a day. That's pretty good money, right? So if I have a week-long job, that's like $10,000 or $12,000 a week. So you can see the kind of money that we're making. And so you can work in camera. You can work in writing, you can work in editorial, you can work in the art department, you can work in the lighting department, you can work in hair, you can work in makeup, you can work in special effects, you can work in special effects makeup, you can work, you can eventually, maybe, perhaps, if you love lighting, you can become a gaffer. You can even be a teacher or a medic. You can also get involved in casting, like become a casting director, a casting assistant. You can work, you can even do storyboards. I know people that do storyboards and make money and have another job within the film industry like production manager, production coordinator. These are great jobs. These are high-paying jobs, so it's very lucrative. And at the same time, you can be an actor. So now you're an actor and you work in camera. So when you act, you're making $1,000 a day as a principal actor. When you're working in camera, you're making $600 a day. And your $600 a day might be times 10 or 15 in a month. What is that? That's like $6,000 to $7,500, $8,000 a month working in the camera department. And then when you act, you make $1,000, and that might happen once a month. And then maybe you get residuals, so you make more. So this is the life of somebody that does a niche and does acting. It's the best of both worlds. And there's a ton of people that I know that are in the film industry that do that. They have a niche job and they also are actor as well. And they have a great life. So that's what the whole thing is about, is having a great life, having an exciting life, living life on your terms. And it doesn't have to be just one way. You can do it any way that you want. Once you get into this very rich environment of working on the film set all the time, then you can go from camera to maybe hair and makeup. Now, it's not like oh, you jump all over the place, but over time you can do it. You're there all the time anyway. So the jobs that get you into the tornado of work are the assistant jobs. They pay money. They pay $100 to $250 a day. It's awesome that they're there, awesome that we've got these jobs. And then you can also move into the niche jobs, which pay even more, $500 a day minimum. And these are SAG type of roles. They're SAG contract roles, so it really is $500 a day minimum. And then you got overtime too, so by that time you're making $600, $700 per day. Take that times 10 or 15 days in a month, you're making like $8,000, $9,000 a month. That is good money, right? And then you get medical, okay, full medical and dental and eye insurance, and you also get retirement. Because as an actor, you guys, SAG actor, you got to be working a ton in order to qualify for medical. But when you do these niche jobs, it's so much easier to qualify for medical because the jobs are there. You don't have to audition for them. You just get called for them. And the jobs come in through your phone. You're going to be carrying your phone with you all the time, checking your emails all the time because the work comes in and it will say in the email, hey, are you available? And then they'll give you the dates. You check your schedule and then you say yes or no. And you might negotiate your rate a little bit. That's fine. So that'll become, the new way that your life goes. And it's much more fun. And the reason why I have this very happy face here with a crown on is when you're doing these niche jobs, you've got a great life because you're making great money in the industry and you also have access to the acting roles because you're right in the middle of it all. So some people might wonder, hey, do I need to go to film school to learn these niche jobs? And the answer is no, you can save yourself $100,000, which do you know how much that is? Do you know how much that burdens you? $100,000 can mean $600 a month for 20 years. So people don't often think about when they sign up for this massive debt, hoping that it gets them somewhere, what they're actually getting into. That's like a boat anchor, $600 per month for 20 years. So you want to avoid that, and you don't need it anyway. It's totally unnecessary because pretty much everybody that you're going to meet on set that's doing these niche jobs, they learned it on set. They learned it by doing the job on set and being exposed to the job on set. So while you're working these assistant jobs, you're going to meet people that will become part of your team, part of the people that you love working with, and they will teach you. They'll teach you whatever niche you want to do. You want to do camera, you're going to meet camera people. You know how many camera people you can meet? Well, you can meet the DP, you can meet the camera operators, you can meet the Steadicam, you can meet the first assistant camera, you can meet the second assistant camera, and you can meet the DIT guy. That's a big camera department. All those people will talk camera with you all day long. And if you ask them questions, they will teach you. They'll give you more education in like a lunch than you could get in like 3 months at film school. And it's the real deal. It's like the stuff you really need to know because they live it, they know it, they make money doing it. Now that's just one group of camera people on one shoot. And you're going to be doing like hundreds of shoots. Like every month you might have 7 or 8 shoots. That means you've met 8 DPs, you've met 8 DITs, you've met 8 camera operators or more. Sometimes there's like 3 or 4 camera operators on each set. So you're meeting a ton of people on every single shoot. Okay, so that's what's so exciting. That's how you grow your connection so fast. And that's how you get your education so fast because you're there and you're on all of these shoots. They're all different. Every shoot's different. We're shooting at the beach. We're shooting on a high rise. We're shooting, at a farmhouse. We're shooting at a residential house. We're shooting in a parking lot. So we're shooting all these different places. So every day is different. It's always different scripts. Everything's different. Always different people. And you just can determine what niche it is through working on set all the time. You're going to see, oh my gosh, I really like camera, or I really like hair, or I really love makeup, or I really like lighting, or I like sound. And then you meet the people in those niches because you're working with them already. And then you learn it. They take you under their wing and they teach you stuff. And pretty soon you're working in that niche. So how long does it take? It can go really fast. It can just be a couple months. I mean, for many of our people like Goran, he started as a production assistant and then he met camera people. On every single shoot, there's camera people. He's like, I really think I like camera. And then he got an opportunity to be a second assistant camera where he made $400 a day. Okay, not too bad. This is non-union. Union stuff is $500 and up. So he worked on non-union stuff as a camera operator, and then he started working more and more and more in camera, $400, $400, $400, and then he got a first assistant camera job where he's making $800 a day. By the way, the auditions that you're getting access to over here, they're several levels higher than you would get through years of auditioning because you'd never get access to these kind of auditions. You get access to them because you're already there and you know all these people. But it could take you 10 years auditioning your way, auditioning your heart out, all those years because you don't have the relationships to get the opportunity to audition for a role at that level. Does that make sense? And you're just going straight there. So that's why it's such a shortcut, okay? Make sense? Okay. So now you've got a new way of doing this. You've got a new way of going after this career that you love, that you've been thinking about, that you've been dreaming about. You've got a new way of going after it that's real, that pays money, that gets you connected with people, and that's exciting. So that's the whole point. That's the whole, my definition of a quality life. That's what it is. Okay, so thank you very much. See you soon on the next video.